Top five, top five, top five. What's up, my dudes? First and foremost, everybody's got to take their hats off to Haiden Deegan. Period. Round of applause. Shawty, make that. Okay. So, he showed up in the main event when it counts. You just got to give him credit for it. And the thing about Spency Boy is, I can be the biggest critic of you, but I can also praise you to the highest level. You just got to give me a reason to do it, okay? And I know there's going to be an absolute gaggle of you boys that's going to come out of the woodwork now and try to say things like, Spencer, you were completely wrong, bro. He totally lived up to the hype, dude. You just don't know what you're talking about. We tried to tell you. You know what I'm saying? Some shit like that, right? Well, actually, that's not really true, okay? And I'll explain that in this video. You want to actually stick around long enough to hear what I'm saying in this video. Of course, if you're one of those kind of people that painted me out to be some big Haiden Deegan hater, then you're not going to think, any of the things that I'm saying, and you're just going to automatically put whatever in your head that you want. I really want to try to avoid getting into this endless argument between, well, I thought that Haiden Deegan was overhyped to this level, so then he didn't live up to that, or I thought he was hyped up to that level, so then he did live up to it. Like, I don't want to get into that endless argument. At the end of the day, all I can really do is just go back and try to talk about what I said in my previous 2 Haiden Deegan videos before he did this first pro Houston debut race, okay? And just trying to keep everything consistent and go back in there and actually talk about it and see where I was at, versus where he actually finished. But I will admit, there were some things that I was right about. There was also some things that I was wrong about. That's just kind of part of the rolling the dice when you try to predict things, okay? Sometimes you'll get the 6, sometimes you'll get the 9, you know what I mean? But as a whole, it's like, when it comes to the actual predicting part of it, and did he live up to the overhype and all that, I really wasn't that far off. So stick around for the video, and I'll explain all that to you. In my very first Haiden Deegan's overhyped video, I literally said in that video, he could probably get a top 5. He could get a top 5 in pro Supercross currently, okay? And then in my Haiden Deegan hater video, which was also made before his pro debut, I said in that video, the only way that he could have lived up to the hype would have been for him to have went out there and won his future Supercross race, and then went out there and at least got a podium in his Houston debut. So he ended up actually finishing in between, like, what I thought would have been his best case scenario finish in his first main event, but then also what I thought he would have had to have finished to fully live up to that hype level that there was for him, especially before that future Supercross race, okay? He literally finished right in between that, which is insane, but that's where he finished. At the same time, it's like, yeah, I'm giving him credit. He did good, but also I'm still sticking behind everything that I said that I feel like he was overhyped. Because before that race, I laid it all out what he would have to do in my mind to live up to that crazy overhype level, and he just simply didn't do it. He didn't get a top 3. He didn't get a podium, okay? But then that all comes back to, it's all in how you want to look at it. You know what I mean? It's like, if you want to look at it like Haiden Deegan's just an average, ordinary amateur coming through, then yeah, getting 4th in your first pro Supercross race is pretty good. Okay? But if you want to start comparing it to like a Adam Cianciarulo coming into the pro class, and you want to start comparing it to like all these people that had him crazy overhyped, like he's the baddest kid on a 250, he's going to go out there and instantly dominate in Supercross right away, well, I still don't feel like he fully lived up to that kind of level. In my head, I was thinking like, You know, Haiden Deegan could get a top 5 if everything falls into place. If he just does everything, you know, right on the bike, he doesn't have any big mistake, sort of like that racing luck is on his side, he could get a top 5. And by golly, that is certainly what happened. I mean, even if you're the most Haiden Deegan fanboy, you got to admit, that race, that main event definitely fell into place for him. There's no doubt about it. Now, again, I'm all about, hey, if you get the result, you get the result. If you win by an inch or a mile, it don't matter, you know, whatever, right? He didn't win the race, but you know what I'm saying. As you guys know, if you watch the main event, Haiden Deegan was hovering right around that, like, 7th place position for pretty much, like, the entire main event. I would say probably 95% of the main event, he was like right about that like 7th place mark. And then the last few laps, a couple guys made some mistakes, especially Jeremy Martin in the last couple of corners. Otherwise, Deegan would have got 5th, but he got around Martin right there last couple corners. And a couple of the big guys that were up in front of Deegan ended up crashing out. You could see how easily it could have went from a 4th place to like a 8th place or a 9th place. That could have happened very easily for Deegan. But everything kind of fell into place. You got to give Deegan credit. He didn't like start to freak out too much. He did have one big moment in the whoops that about made me shit my pants, okay? He did have a big moment where he started to veer off the bike. I was like, oh God, here we go. But luckily, he was able to kind of keep it all together there. So, Haiden Deegan is a lot more like main event race ready than what I was originally anticipating. He's a lot more like consistent as far as for the entire main event. You know, like, yeah, I always knew that he had speed, but it was like, can he handle the pressure and keep it on 2 wheels for the entire main event? That was really the question that I had. And I feel like that's where he really shined in this main event. That's where he really proved something. Okay, so at the end of the day, just like I told you boys to be careful about your hype level, before his Supercross debut, I'm going to come around here and say the exact same thing. Be careful about your hype level for the rest of his Supercross season this year, okay? And this is a big deal right here. Like, Haiden Deegan could easily come out in the next race and just completely wad his shit up and crash and be out for the rest of the season. That is like a pretty high possibility. It really is. I mean, if he would have just done something just a millimeter different in that whoop section when he had that close moment, it would have happened in that very first race. Okay? So, just keep your hype in check. That is all I'm saying. Even if he can go out there and get 4th in his debut Supercross race, still, you need to keep your hype in check. So you just imagine if he gets like a better start and he's actually running up there in like a podium position, you know, when it's really got that kind of next level racing pressure. It's different when you're battling for 5th, 6th, 7th. You know what I mean? But when you're battling for a win or you're battling for a podium, it's a different kind of level. Everything can change so fast with these amateurs. Oh my God. Like, yeah, he went out there and was able to kind of put together a main event, but oh my gosh, trust me, bro. Anything can happen with these amateurs. Literally anything. So just, please, for the love of God, keep your hype in check. That's all I'm saying.